Hello, welcome to theCUBE studios here in our Palo Alto studios in the middle of Silicon Valley, and welcome to theCUBE's Tech Innovation Cubed Awards, where we celebrate the winners of our inaugural program. The competition was fierce. We got a lot of great entries, high caliber entries, showcasing all the innovation across the industry. And today, we're joined by Jyoti, who's been on theCUBE many times, founder and CEO of Harness, just acquired his other project, Traceable, all under one roof, recently had on earlier, award-winning entry around the innovation around Harness, and a variety of other projects, but he took the category, top honors in most innovative tech startup leader. Jyoti, congratulations on the award, well-deserved. Great career you've had and keep on having in entrepreneurship and building companies, investing in companies. Thanks for coming on theCUBE and congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, John, and great to be here back again.
So innovation obviously was central to our themes, and it's an inaugural event. You never know if we're going to have another one. It's the first. Looks like we're going to have another one. We had 43 judges. We thought it was going to be me, Dave, and a handful of us here at SiliconANGLE and theCUBE. Huge community response to theCUBE and what we do, and again, real big community award. You've been an innovator. You've had a great career. You had great success in the past. Continue to have success with Harness. You've incubated a lot of projects, given your hands dirty, you're building companies. Traceable was just announced recently. We had you on theCUBE with your CTO and again, more success. What approach are you taking these days? Give us a taste of your mindset, one, in the market we're in, and two, the lessons in entrepreneurship and leadership that you've brought along the way and the impact it's had.
Yeah, I don't think anything changes in the world of innovation except the rate of innovation is increasing. So I'm very honored and in many ways thrilled that there is so much innovation opportunity right now for anyone. We have AI is such a big disruptor in the market that creates the room for innovation in so many significant ways. So for anyone who's want to drive businesses, build businesses based on innovation, it's a great time.
You know,
When
you
I look at my approach, to entrepreneurship and innovation, to me, it all starts with a problem that you're passionate about. And I look at if you are passionate about a problem, you've experienced some pain somewhere, and you really, really are convinced that there has to be a better way of doing something, that's where the innovation starts. That's the spark of the innovation there. And now you take from there and you really focus on how do you solve the pain better than anyone else in the market, maybe 3x, 5x, 10x better than how people have done it before. You really focus on delivering that to your consumers, to your customers, and that becomes the centerpiece of everything that you do. Now innovation on the tech is not enough, right? You have to convert it to a business, and that's for me as an engineer turned entrepreneur, many entrepreneurs, you have to learn the business part of it, which is go to market, how to build a scalable business, how do we innovate at scale, and things that I had to learn over time.
You know, you've, in entrepreneurship, there's always the books written, people go to school for it. I mean, I went to school in the 90s when I got my business degree, coming from a computer science background. Oh, business is easy. Oh man, it's not that hard. It's not that easy. You got to get customers, you got to build out a team. So there's been always that product market fit conversation, and you've written some seminal posts. One of them I liked the most on was, it's hard to sell. Talk to your customers, right? Because you have to build the business. Talk about that dynamic around, building a great product, going to a great market, and it's the classic VC thing. Hey, big markets are great. I'll take an A market, B team any day, or no, a B market and an A team, however the expression goes. But it's not just solving the problem. You actually got to go execute. Talk about some of those lessons, and then how does that compare to now? Because we're seeing a lot of acceleration.
Mhm. Yeah, it's there's a lot of acceleration right now. How you build products could be much faster. You need less number of people, less engineers. AI is a big driver in the productivity around how good products could be built and very fast. But once the products are built, you got to get it out in front of people, and depends on what kind of product it is. You are selling to consumers, you're selling to SMB, you're selling to large enterprise. You have to figure out the right distribution. So I talk about it as the product market fit starts with not just that you have a product that solves a problem in the large market, but also how do you distribute it in the right way. I call it product market sales fit. If you don't get if you can't figure out the distribution channel, and that aligns with the product that you're built, and that aligns with the market demands and the market needs, you're not going to succeed. So I do think right now it's like the products can be built faster, the innovation velocity is higher. You're seeing companies that are growing really fast, and building products with very small teams. So that's very key. You combine with the right go-to-market philosophy, the right go-to-market execution, and iterate over that as well. That becomes core of it. When the businesses grow, quickly, you also have to also be ahead of what's next. It's because things are moving so fast, and if you're behind on what's next, even by like a few months or 6 months, a year, you'll be left behind.
One of the things I love about your journey is you've been in the enterprise, right? In the enterprise, go back 15 years when we started theCUBE, it wasn't that sexy. No one was really covering it. It was a green field for us, as we say. And even the decade before, you had the classic B2B, enterprise sales. You hire a sales team, hope for the best, scale up, get that round. Now you're seeing entrepreneurs. I was just in New York interviewing a bunch of young entrepreneurs under 30. I was expecting to hear about some consumer, some great models. Yeah, those are out there, but these young guns, they're calling on financial services. They're selling to the enterprise. So enterprise has become a big market, and a lot of these companies have 1-year ARR contracts, and because they're in these POC purgatory, right? So talk about how you see this enterprise sales motion, because you got to get the distribution, but getting a POC isn't enough. You have to kind of cross over. It's like going to the airport and going through TSA, right? You want to just sail through, but you get stopped, all these kind of like trigger points. Talk about that dynamic, because the enterprise has changed. Talk about that dynamic, how startups focusing on the enterprise, what it takes to be successful.
Yeah, if you look at an enterprise, what has changed in enterprise is that they are more open to innovation. They are more open to newer technologies than they used to be. Like, used to be like, 15, 20 years ago, people will say, no one gets fired for buying from IBM. And that was kind of the mindset in a large enterprise. Like, you have to go after the safe choice. That has changed a bit. Enterprises are, you could even argue like, you could be fired for buying from IBM these days. If you are a enterprise that you're not innovating, or you're not thinking ahead, you're very old school about some things. But that's a great thing about enterprise. But a lot of things haven't changed as well. Like, it's enterprises are complex organizations. You have multiple stakeholders, multiple decision makers. So your go to market is not just about the product and solving the problem. It's also about making the business case of how an enterprise, what's the impact that's going to be for them. So a lot of the enterprise selling is about, justifying the business value, justifying the business case, and making it a durable business case for them. So that's where, like, you go out of the POC to a real implementation in a large enterprise. If you've proven out the business value, not just a technical implementation, the business value, the business outcome of what impact your product is going to make, and can it make in a sustainable way. The companies that I've built, AppDynamics, Harness, Traceable, we focus on large enterprises significantly, and we understand, like, to sell to large enterprises, you have to build a product that's flexible. You need to build a platform that and take a platform kind of approach to it. You have to start small in many companies and kind of grow from there to a pilot. You have to prove your value. You have to combine with, like, coexistence with their
Yeah.
existing tools and processes. The enterprises don't have the luxury to replace everything, in one day. So those are some principles if you have to succeed in a large enterprise.
Talk about the role of the founder. I've always been a big believer in the founder-led approach. However, you need to have real professional sales teams. Gone are the days of the VCs taking over, bringing in the sales team. Kind of a hybrid model going, mostly successful today. We see that classic playbook has kind of been recognized as a little bit too slow, and sometimes it's domain expertise. Yeah, you still got to scale up. Yeah, you need an army of salespeople once you kind of get there. How should founders and other business leaders that want to build and penetrate the enterprise think about, one, team construction, team makeup, and two, the go-to-market specifically around how AI is being looked at? Some of the
Mhm.
AI is the hurdle on security is high, but some of the POCs are plentiful. So is there an approach you see today that's viable, that gets you a nice beachhead for an entrepreneur and a founder, and not, when should the founder not take their eye off the ball, or ever?
Mhm. A founder can never take the eye off the ball, but it really depends on the different stages, like of any startup. So when you're just starting, it's all about product market fit, getting your first, a first million of revenue, making sure like your product is solving the problem, you finding your go to market kind of approach, etc. And the founder has to do all of it at that point. You really cannot fully delegate out at that point. You won't be able to even recruit like good sales leaders, good marketing leaders at that stage because you're still proving things out. But once you start getting from like that initial product market fit and product market distribution fit, then you can start bringing in leaders, and that's the only way to scale. Like you need like sales leaders, marketing leaders, and I encourage all founders, like bring in the best people you can. Like if you're a product oriented founder, which most founders are, like like I am, I always look at, I need to lean on my superpower. My superpower is building great products, and but I need to bring in my team people whose superpowers are very good, being very good in selling, very good in marketing, very good in so in operating engineering, all kind of functions that we need to scale.
Yeah.
And sales is very important. Like if you're selling into large enterprise, sales is there's a lot of work that happens, having a structured sales process on how do you generate demand, how do you run the sales process, how do you do negotiations, how do you do create a momentum in any large company. You have, for marketing perspective, you have to do a lot of things around, creating your brand, your awareness, your visibility. And over time, you have to become a machine around it. But as a founder, you want to make sure like you have the right people you can lean on, and these people can know what to do, professionals in selling and professionals in marketing, etc.
I have to ask you because, I'm old enough to remember when proprietary software ran the day and open source was just starting. Like, now it's like, what? Wasn't always free. You're seeing a renaissance of, I call, older entrepreneurs that came from that systems generation. And the young guns are rising up in the same time. AI and, this AI infrastructure, whether it's security or, just raw infrastructure, and now the software layer on top. You're seeing kind of like a confluence of age, experience, relevant experience coming in. What's your thoughts on that? What's your reaction? Do you see the same thing? Um, I'm seeing founders in their late 40s starting companies.
Yeah. You know, I don't believe in there is a right age for any founder. To me, you could be a great founder at 22. You could be a great founder at 62. It doesn't really matter. Like as long as you're willing to learn, as long as entrepreneurship is all about constant learning. Yes, there are some prior experiences that really help, but prior experiences can not help sometimes as well. Like the freshness of thinking, because you have a new lens to something, is very powerful as well. So to me, it's like a successful entrepreneur has to constantly learn,
Yeah.
and there is no age to it. Like it doesn't mean that if you can't learn when you're younger, you can't learn when you're older. I've seen companies and founders who are very successful at any age. I do think the opportunity of disruption is very key, and the mindset for disruption is very key, that you want to go after the status quo of how things are done, and you're very passionate about doing solving that. So it's great to see, like people of all kind of ages are coming together and
Yeah.
see the opportunity that is out there in front of us with the AI changing things and opportunity to build new products and new companies.
Yeah, I love that. Great pro tip there. Yeah, opportunity recognition is key. And seeing opportunity, go after it. Don't be afraid. Run into the fire. Disrupt. Go after that market because
Yeah.
you can get it.
Opportunity is only the opportunity recognition is the first 2% of the job, right? The 98% is the execution on that opportunity after that.
Yeah.
Because if there's a good opportunity that you recognize, there's a high chance that there's another 10 to 15 good entrepreneurs that recognize that opportunity as well.
Yeah.
If no one else has recognized the opportunity, most likely it's not a
Yeah.
very big one.
Yeah.
And so now it all comes down to the execution, who executes better.
Yeah.
And like execution is all about like speed to market, how fast value do, how you scale, the execution on product, execution on distribution. All of those things would really decide who the winner and the loser is.
Yeah, exactly. Got to outlast and then grind it too. It's a grind sometimes. Sometimes good days, bad days. I have to ask you, looking back at your journey, you've had very successful exit. Okay, went back to the ranch, kind of settle in, start again, get it back in the arena. Looking back at the time, in your journey here, certainly with Harness and the work you've done. What's been some of the key turning points or decisions that helped you go through this to get recognized today? Obviously, you got a great track record, but what
Uh-huh.
was in your current journey? What was those key turning points and decisions that helped you
I
get
would
where you're at
say,
today?
definitely the lessons that I've learned is uh, the first part. Like a lot of times, the conversation is about how do you start a company, how do you get a product market fit, how do you get a successful startup going. But that's really the step one. The step two is how do you scale innovation. When I look at, like, when I was now doing this as a repeat entrepreneur, that's the problem that I was very passionate about. Like, how do we scale innovation beyond our first product market fit, to a product number two, to product number three, four, five, seven, 10. Maybe, like, that we can build dozens of successful products and scale innovation. So the turning point for Harness, at Harness, our mission is that there are about 40 million software developers in the world. And software developers, that's the cost of software engineering for 40 million developers is about $4 trillion. And out of that, 25-30% could be tuned if we can, and optimized, if we can bring the right tool chain for DevOps, for quality, for application security, for cost management, FinOps, all kind of the work that's not really the creative work of software engineering, but really the plumbing and the mechanics that we go in software engineering. We can create a massive productivity gain. So we have a big mission, big bold vision, right? But the challenge is, like, you can't go and address it all, right? So you start with like one part, find product market fit, succeed, and then you have to scale innovation across the board. So we at Harness, we came up with this approach called startups within a startup. So Harness is one startup with about 1,000 employees in the company, and growing very fast, one of the fastest growing at our size, etc. But it's internally structured as 15 different startups. Like, so we have 15 different startup leaders, startup CEOs who are working on different products, or we call them different modules in our platform. And they have their ownership, their accountability, almost operate as an independent startup will operate in Silicon Valley. With and how we build the products, how we compete in each of those different areas, how we go to market, how we package. And that's been a turning point, and kind of, like, I would say, the center of how we were able to innovate at that kind of scale.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great tips there. I have to ask you to kind of wrap things up. And first of all, congratulations on the award. Well deserved. Again, the track record's been phenomenal. Continuing to innovate. I love the approach. Every successful entrepreneur has that DNA. You're born to be an entrepreneur. You've been product oriented. You got the experience in the enterprise, continue going on. What's your secret sauce? What would you say is the most distinctive aspect of your approach that has enabled you to push the boundaries of your success?
Well, my secret sauce is, it's really simple: build great products. I look at, like, if you have a large, I simplify it down to a few things. One is, like, go after a large problem space, build great products, and that's really becomes the core strength.
Mhm.
Combine it with very strong go to market sales execution. And then make sure you really take care of your customers, and not just say it, you really take care of your customers. And then you create a culture of organizationally, that's very inclusive, of, like, and it creates like, we are all in the boat together and solving these problems together, and innovating together, instead of like a very top down micromanaged kind of culture. I look at, like, if I do these five things, eventually success happens. And and we'll go after large problem space and build good products, and sell more.
Love the agile approach of the multiple startups within the startups, great innovation there. Speaking of startups within the startups, you actually had another startup, um, Traceable, that you merged in with Harness. Talk
Mhm.
about that, because that wasn't a startup within the startup, that was another startup.
Yeah.
So again, mindset there was get a separate team, take more territory, look downstream. Was that intentional? Was that?
Yeah, sort of, like, we I started that as a separate company because the buyer and user personas were very different. Like, at Harness, we are going after the engineering personas, and I wanted to really solve the problems on next generation of application security, code security, and those personas were more around the security teams, the cybersecurity CISO teams. So that's why I started them as two separate companies. And but yes, it was back of the mind, that at some point those two personas may converge. And you're starting to see that convergence happening, that like, the engineering teams and the security teams are coming together and co-owning, how do you do secure software delivery? How do you build software that is secure? How do you, how do you work, in one function as DevSecOps? And that's the reason, like, decided to combine, a few weeks ago, announced that the two companies come together and they become startups within startup in one single company.
Yeah, and that's really a good example of the long game, right? You had the vision, kind of you want to create some cohesiveness, but you don't want to integrate too early, right? So Harness had its cohesiveness, 15, starts within startups, traceable, different persona. Again,
Uh-huh.
a little bit of a long game there, sounds like.
Yeah, and you need the flexibility, right? If the market, if those personas and markets were not converging for another few years, I would have kept them as separate companies for for a few years. But the personas started to converge much faster, and it made sense. Harness, we have the startups within startup going, and Traceable, we had startups within startup going as well, just starting to, but that same thing we were doing, and now they can both be together and bring this more value to the market.
Yeah, came better together, bring them together. Timing was great. Congratulations. We covered that on SiliconANGLE. Jyoti, thanks so much for coming on. Appreciate your time. And again, congratulations. Love your approach to building companies. Great entrepreneur. Again, continuing to knock it out of the park. And again, we love covering all the action, yeah, as it unfolds.
Yeah, right. Hey, thank you, and always great to be here with you.
All right, great job. Thanks so much. All right, that's theCUBE. He's been cubed as the innovating leader in building out companies. Of course, tech innovation is part of our CUBE Awards and our inaugural first class of winners. We're going to be doing another one in the second half of the year. We're going to have more coverage coming. I'm John Furrier, your host of theCUBE. Thanks for watching.